Guys, this podcast is brought to you today by Audible. If you go to agencyhour.com/audible, that's AUDIBLE, you'll start your 30-day free trial, and you can even cancel at any time. Audible is the #1 app for listening to your favorite books. No one's got more listens than Audible. Here's the deal. We love Audible. Emily listens to her books while she's driving, cleaning, working, you name it. And hey, look, I'm not a book reader myself, but I'm obsessed with this app. With your new account, you also get ad-free premium audio for on and offline listening, your own custom library to keep even if you cancel, 30% off exclusive member-only savings, and much more. Go to agencyhour.com/audible to get your free audiobook today. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Agency Hour podcast. This is our Monday morning edition, Developer Minutes, where everybody else is either not in the office or still sleeping or somewhere that's not at work. And the developers are here early because we don't sleep. It's just a thing. We don't sleep ever. So we're here.
We just exist on caffeine.
That's right. Coffee's here. Dunkin' Donuts, not sponsored, but if they want to be, they can contact us at agencyhour.com. Wouldn't be mad about it. So yeah, today we're going to talk about the state of web browsers and where they're at and why we need them, or not why we need them, but I saw a very interesting ad on YouTube the other day that we'll get into. And so yeah, let's start off. Sarah, I know you love it when we play games, so I'm gonna hit you with another quiz like I did last time. Can you, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so there are 5 modern browsers. Can you name in order, percentage-wise, which are being used?
Chrome is definitely the first one.
Yep.
That's probably followed by Firefox.
Nope.
What?
Nope.
What?
Nope. I would have said the same thing.
Are we talking about some like random Android browser that everybody's forced to use on their phone or something?
Nope.
Internet Explorer isn't next, is it?
Nope.
Is it Safari?
Uh-huh.
Wow, okay. So Safari and then Firefox?
Yep.
And then, depending on the thing, it's like Internet Explorer. Edge is, I think, usually first because they consider it different now.
Mm-hmm.
And then I guess Opera is still around too.
Yeah, so I have two different things pulled up. I have W3 Counter, and then I have Stats Counter. Stats Counter came up first in Google. So this is browser market share worldwide for July of 2018.
Mm-hmm.
Chrome has almost 60% of the share. Safari has almost 14%. And then this Stats Counter has what they're calling a UC browser. I don't know what that means. W3 doesn't have that one, so we're going to skip it. Firefox is about 5%, and Opera and IE are coming in at around 3%.
Yeah.
I think Stat Counter counts IE and Edge the same. W3 is putting Edge and Internet Explorer in the same category and giving them about 5.9%.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if they hadn't switched to Edge, they probably would be gone by now.
Yeah, right. So it's very strange. And so I saw this ad, and it is for a new browser called Cake.
Cake?
It's called the Cake browser. And when I saw it, I had two thoughts. One is, why do we need another browser? And then, like, I watched the whole... Usually I'll skip ads, but then I watched the whole thing, and it was very interesting. Like, it's... I don't know if they have a desktop app.
What's their big pull for it?
It like it will prioritize websites for you.
Mm-hmm.
So like in your search results. So like if you always want Amazon to be first, then Walmart, then I don't know what's this example, eBay, and then Target.
Okay.
You can set those in priority, and whenever you
Interesting.
search for something, it'll give you like Amazon first, Walmart second, and it'll also load search results based on page speed. So like if I search for graphic design in Carlisle, and we have Green Tree, Pixel and Hammer, somebody else, and somebody else, and somebody else. So whoever's site loads first, that's the first result on this browser. And like you, instead of like seeing the list, you like scroll sideways and you're scrolling through each of these websites.
That's interesting. So it's basically just like a specialized mobile browser?
Yeah, I think so. From what I'm seeing here, I don't think they have a they don't have a desktop version. So it is made just for mobile. There's also like dedicated buttons on the bottom for like video and pictures and shopping carts. So like instead of going to Google and clicking on videos or images for your search, like this one it just automatically does it.
Interesting.
And then you can obviously set like your default search engine, which is a thing. But I saw it and I thought some of the features were cool. But it doesn't entice me to download an entirely new browser. I think most people are using Chrome. I think that's what everybody here uses. I think Alex switched to Firefox when they released their new security thing, but I don't know which. I think Shannon uses Chrome.
Well, yeah, pretty much everybody uses Chrome because we use a bunch of extensions to help with work.
Right.
Like for finding websites' IP addresses or like our bug herd plugin is through Chrome. So like all of our kind of workflow stuff requires Chrome to some extent.
So do you think if there was a browser that had all that built in, it would be successful? Like if they created a browser that just instead of having to go to the Chrome store, well, see, I guess that just comes with customization because someone like Emily doesn't need to know the IP address of a website, or
Right.
someone, like Shannon might not need ad blocker. But I'm like I want to know what it would take to create like the perfect web browser, right? So I think Chrome's biggest gripe, and I don't know about PC, and I mean mainly not desktop because they're always plugged in, but I think like Chrome is like the biggest battery sucker on MacBooks.
Yeah,
And
they did this thing where it used to be a browser only had like one process running on your computer. And Chrome changed that so that like if you look at your processes when you're running Chrome on your computer, especially if you have multiple tabs, they actually have multiple processes running. And that speeds up the browser, which is like what their big pull is like it's a super fast browser.
Right.
But they're also sucking a whole lot more in the way of resources. So if your computer isn't the newest or greatest, like some of the lower level laptops and stuff can struggle sometimes to run even a browser because it pulls so much.
Yeah. According to these articles, I guess this was an issue like a couple of years ago, and according to these, it seems as if they fixed a lot of the battery issues or a lot of those problems with Chrome.
I mean, when 60% of the world is running on Chrome.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think so that just goes back to like the whole environment, not environment, what's the word? Ecosystem. Like people always ask me like, or at least not, well, a couple people, but like my cousin's the main one. My cousin is like an Apple fanboy to the core. Like he has the HomePod and the headphones and the iPhones and the MacBook that he never uses and just buys everything Apple, right? Apple Watch, Apple everything. And like over the years, like every about once a year, maybe once every two, he'll ask me like, I think I'm going to switch. I think I'm going to switch to Android and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, no.
And it's like, and he always asks me, he's like, what's the difference? Because, like, you always see people who are, like, hardcore iPhone fans, like, bashing Android, and Android fans bashing iPhones because of their differences.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I talk to him, it comes back to the ecosystem. Like, my text messages are on iPhone, but, like, I'm the opposite in the sense that, like, all my Apple accounts are synced up, but, like, the apps I use are all Google.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the fact, and I take it for granted, and I never really, like, I don't think I appreciated it until about, like, a year ago, but I love the fact that I can now be on my phone or my laptop here or computer here, laptop at home, laptop wherever, and, like, all of my toolbar things are there, all of my passwords are there. Like, I don't have to worry about having my password manager up to date, even though it always is, but, like, you know what I mean? Like, Chrome just has that. It's just, like, synced throughout everything.
Yeah.
And I know obviously Safari is synced with your iCloud stuff, and I think Firefox has a login system that I'm sure does the same thing, but I think just Chrome does it better.
I mean, if you have literally 60% of the world opening up some other browser to download Chrome, like, they're doing something right. I think the only reason Firefox is sort of having a resurgence is because they keep doing things with lots of really cool dev tools. Like, they came out with a CSS Grid dev tool that was really neat. Yeah, I kept hearing about it, but since I'm not really in the CSS world at the moment, I haven't used it or played with it at all. But I remember thinking, like, oh, I don't really want to switch back to Firefox just for this thing. Can Chrome just implement it?
So yeah, it's in college I used Firefox heavily because of
well, I think Firefox was the first one to come out with sort of like that the dev tools, or at least I used Firefox's dev tools before I used Chrome's.
Yeah, that's what it was. It was Bug
Tracker or something like that.
Nah, it was whatever. It was
Bug
like
console,
it was a third party inspector dev tool, whatever. And that's all we used in college. But according to Firefox's website, their browser is 30% lighter than Chrome and uses less memory.
But it may not be faster than Chrome. That was like when Chrome came out, they're like, forget all these really slow, stupid browsers. Chrome is lightning fast.
Right.
And yes, they are, but they also take up more power to do that, which makes sense.
Apparently Firefox is built for gaming and VR, which is kind of cool.
Did you see the Brave browser?
No.
I think it's Brave. When Mozilla pushed out their CEO, he went and started a new browser company.
Of course he did.
But it's like all about security.
You are not a product. Why use a browser that treats you like one? Enjoy private, secure, and fast browsing. See, that's the problem, I think, with stuff like this. First of all, nobody's using Brave. I mean, it looks familiar. I might have downloaded it at one point, but I never used it. So the problem with that is, like, okay, so Firefox kicked out their CEO. He went and started this new company, and his slogan is, you're not a product, don't have a browser that treats you like one, private, secure, and fast browsing. So all Firefox or any other browser needs to do is just push an update and say, hey, this is more secure, blah, blah, and just, like, combat their...
Except they're going to get in a lot of trouble with all the people they have deals with.
Who? The...
Well, like the big companies like Chrome or the big browsers like Chrome or Firefox, especially if you just focus on Chrome. Like, Chrome's a Google product.
Yeah.
So their stuff is sort of designed to track you like anything else would be.
Yeah.
So like, they can't really, offer a super secure browsing option because it kind of goes against like everything that they do. They collect information so that they can provide like these other services,
Right.
whereas
They
you
wouldn't.
know,
They wouldn't be able to give their shareholders
Yeah.
like, oh, we have 7,000 people going to this website every day.
right. But Brave, I think, would be like I use that sometimes when I'm just doing personal stuff, just on a personal computer when I'm not doing anything dev related. But
So
for dev stuff, I just have to have
Would
the
it
tools
make-
in Chrome.
would it make sense? And I'm sure there's a Chrome or Firefox extension that does it. But would it? And I know there's a handful of them out there. But would it make sense for Chrome or Firefox to, without a third party, just have a built-in feature to have a VPN switch, you think? Or is that more... I mean, I guess that just kind of still goes back to like them and their shareholders and the tracking and the data.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. It's very interesting that there's so many features. Like, that's the case, but like if I can download a VPN add-on and an ad blocker that like strips my IP and gets rid of all the ads on YouTube, then like why wouldn't Chrome just build it in? Obviously, like, you know what I mean? Kind of thing.
Yeah, again, but they have an entire part of their business called Google AdWords that ad block, primarily blocks. So it just goes completely against their business model to do something like that. I mean, I love ad blocker. I know a lot of people do.
Yes.
It's also super helpful when you're building websites with ad blocker on, because it turns out if you name something like an image ad blocker will get rid of it.
Really?
Yeah, we had that issue on one of our client websites because they had images that weren't showing up. And what it came down to was the ad blocker was blocking them because they had thrown all these images in a folder that was like /ads.
Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. I've never come across that.
So don't name your stuff ads.
Yeah.
Because ad blocker will get it.
I'm trying to think if I've ever had a website that had like ads on it.
Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw that happen.
I mean, we have like ads. I think like the one site we have has like ad spots, but I didn't name it ads because that's not what they were. Huh. That's very interesting. I wonder how deeper that goes. Like, would that be images? I know, so obviously it's images or like a folder pertaining to all the images. So like I wonder how far that goes.
I think it just blocks media,
Right.
videos and ads, or scripts and images and videos.
So, all right. So what do you think it would take? What's going on here? There we go. What do you think it would take to make the switch back from Chrome to, say, Firefox for you?
At home or at work?
Work.
Well, we would need all of those extensions to be ported to Firefox.
Right.
I don't use BugHerd a ton as far as like in browser, but I know other people in the office do.
Yeah.
And it's super helpful to have that in browser.
Yeah.
The IP address one I use a lot. I also use a color picker extension a lot, and I use an identifying extension. So like I can like click that. I think it's called Wappalizer. I can click that and it tells me like what the software on the website is, what version of the software it is, really, really quickly. So like I can just go to a website and see exactly what it's built in, and it helps a lot with research, and just like knowing where to start looking for something like the admin panel. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I really use.
Wappalizer, BugHerd, AdBlock.
Yeah, AdBlock. AdBlock is amazing. I always hate listening to YouTube videos on my phone because my phone doesn't have AdBlock on it.
Right. What was that last one? Oh, the IP address thing.
Yeah, that's kind of a simple one that probably is available. But
So,
I don't know if the bug herd one is.
Yep. So Firefox has bug herd, Wapalizer, AdBlock, and IP address. So there's your extension problem. So I mean, is that it?
Pretty much. I mean, besides just, actually physically making the switch to Firefox by downloading all the extensions and installing it on all my computers.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, he's busy being in college, but maybe we'll message Alex and see if see what he thinks since he made the switch back. I'd be curious. I think personal life, I would keep Chrome just because it's there and there's too much there to not have or not be synced or having to worry about. I mean, I know like Firefox has like a whole thing on there, like make the switch from Chrome in less than a minute. But like I don't know, there's things that'll be missed.
Yeah, my problem is like what sent me to Chrome was a problem. What sent me to Firefox was a problem. Like Internet Explorer sucked, so I started using Firefox. And then even Firefox at that point was slow, so I switched to Chrome. And I don't have any problems with Chrome that makes me want to not have it as a browser.
Is there a reason? So, when does support for IE11 end? I think you said like in a year or two?
I think it was 2020 is when the date. Like we go by either the date or the percentage of use. So if the percentage of use drops below a certain amount or the date passes, then we stop supporting it.
Internet Explorer end of support. Load. Beginning January 12, 2016. Most current version of Internet Explorer. Support operating system. Receive technical security updates in the latest version. What does this mean?
So usually there's like end of support, which means that they're no longer adding new features. And then you have end of life, which is they're no longer fixing security updates.
So, and then of course they want to push everybody to Edge. So, it's. I think if my biggest concern or question is like if people are still using Internet Explorer, and obviously Microsoft has a very specific number of people and who's using it and everything else, like. Why wouldn't they just have like a team of like 5 people dedicated to like, oh, people are still using Internet Explorer? Okay, you're the IE team. Like, keep doing things to it. Not like, I guess it doesn't have to be crazy, but like CSS Grid doesn't work in IE11, right? Or it does, but kind of not really. So like, why wouldn't they just, I mean, what is it, like 3 lines of code that says support this CSS thing? I'm sure it's more than that, but like, couldn't they just implement that, or what's the purpose? I guess just so it slowly fades and dies and they want to focus everything on Edge, but...
To some extent, yeah. I mean, yeah, so if you keep updating something, you're not giving anyone a reason to leave it.
Right.
And it gets to a point where, software ages. It gets old.
Yeah.
And it needs to be retired at some point. And it may just be more of a liability than it's worth for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Especially if they're trying to completely rebrand and not be the butt of every browser joke out there.
It's... the best one... the best one is... I think it was, I think we found it in college, but it was like, if Internet Explorer has the guts to ask to be your default browser, you have the guts to ask the girl out or something like that. You know what I mean? It was just like, yeah, it made no sense. The
There was one that was like it had like all of the little browser icons lined up, and they're like they were cheering for something or saying like hooray, and then there was like another question being asked, and all of the icons except for Internet Explorer kept answering,
Right.
and then at the very end it was Internet Explorer going hooray.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember what the exact one was, but
Well, this one's kind of the same thing. It's like, what are we? And everybody's like, browsers. What do we want? Faster internet.
Yeah.
And then when do we want it? And then IE says browsers.
yep.
Why the hell do you exist? To everyone using this, Merry Christmas 1996. Happy New Year. May 2001 be your happiest year yet. It's that's funny.
But I mean, it goes even beyond that. It's almost become this like, at least for anyone in tech, it's like culturally abhorrent to use Internet Explorer on any
what would be a
for any reason.
what would be a reason?
That you're testing your CSS code in
Yeah.
Internet Explorer.
I
That's
mean,
really the only reason that anyone in our
Yeah.
field uses it.
I think
I've heard Edge is better though.
yeah, for sure. I think I read an article saying that in a lot of ways, not all of them, but in a handful of ways, Edge is a lot better than Safari. I heard Safari's giving devs a lot of issues now before Edge does.
I actually heard Firefox is at the bottom right now as far as like keeping up with CSS standards and
Yeah, because they're too busy trying to rebrand and worry about security and
yeah, I don't know, but I know that I did read something about that where Edge is now no longer at the bottom. They've managed to push themselves up, and so it's
Wait, Scott, come here.
What?
Yeah, no, that's interesting. Sit, grab the, get in on it. Or I'm gonna ask you some questions. Because you're not a developer.
I hope you know everything about browsers.
So, okay, this is fun. So, Scott, our designer, just walked in. So I'm curious to see his opinions. Let me get your mic on, and you should be there. Say hello.
Hello. Good morning.
All right. Good morning. So, this is interesting. So you are our designer, so you don't have too much stake in this realm. What is your go-to web browser and why?
This is gonna be really simple. Chrome, because I like the way that they set up the tabs compared to Safari.
What? Wait, why? You mean the little highlight thing?
Like,
Or
if
just
I'm one of
You
those.
mean like the web tab, like
the web tabs. Like,
Yeah.
I'm one that has like 30 open on my computer all times. And the way that Safari has done it is that they just full width everything. So if you have 2 tabs, it's like full width. If you have 3, it's 3 that are full width. Where Chrome is set
Right.
width.
Yeah.
And so if I want to go through real quick and I don't
Yeah.
know, it's just less of a pain in the butt. I guess you could Command W and close out tabs like that quicker, but
Do you have any browser extensions that you absolutely love and couldn't live without?
no,
on Chrome?
I hardly use browser extensions.
Not even like ad blocker or anything.
No.
No.
Interesting. Not even a color picker for when you're designing? What if you're on a website and you see a really awesome color and you want to steal it?
Yeah, that feels like a great tool to have. You guys have to show me this stuff.
He's going to go
I feel-
download 16 different
I know.
Chrome extensions.
I'm pretty sure there's also a font identifier
Yeah.
extension too.
Yeah, maybe those would be helpful.
Oh my gosh. Turns out Scott just confessed he has no idea what he's doing.
I have very much an idea what I'm
No,
doing.
no, no,
Just
no,
not in
that's
that
cool.
realm.
That's interesting. What's your have you always been a Mac guy, or did I'm
Yeah, since about going into college, so
Yeah.
2009 I bought my first MacBook, and then I used that MacBook literally every single day, hours a day, every single day through 4 years of college, and after that for about a year,
right?
and never a single issue. So that for me was kind of defining all right.
Yeah, no, and I think we're all on the same boat. College introduced me to Mac too. So, when did you started Mac here, right?
I used Mac in high school.
Okay.
I didn't have one myself,
Right.
but we had classes. Like I took a photography and screen printing and graphic design class in high school that we used Macs for. So that was my first exposure to it. But then here was the first time I used it like regularly at work.
Right.
Like we had a Mac lab in college.
Got it. So that's interesting. So,
But I preferred Linux labs at that point.
oh god. Okay. It's a completely different. Save for your Linux podcast.
What do you think about like Microsoft making more of a push into the creative arts kind of realm?
I think they're doing. I think they're getting there. I think they need to focus on. If they, I know they just released a Mac app for .NET or what? There's a Mac app we were going to use to code something here. Was it Visual?
You're talking about Visual Studio?
Yeah.
Visual Studio is the Microsoft,
Right.
but it's apparently it's really hugely popular. I opened it up and tried playing with it a little bit, but I wasn't in love.
Right.
But
yeah, I mean, if they would focus on coming over to that side, to the Mac side, wait a minute, hold on, I might be shooting myself in the foot. I think
they're doing better as far as like starting to really compete. But
yeah, you can get Edge on the App Store. You can download.
Why would you want to do that?
You can download. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's not for Mac. It's for your iPhone. That's right, because I downloaded it. So I downloaded Edge for my iPhone. I used it for about 2 minutes, and then I deleted it. But I mean, I think if they made more of a push to be in that space, like instead of like only updating their browser like every time a new Windows operating system comes out, like just push for like the stuff that everybody else is doing. Like launch a add-on store for people like us who use it. Give me a Mac app for it. Don't make it suck. Tell me why it's better than Chrome. Like, let me sync all of my things. Integrate a Google login. Like, I mean, that's what everybody else does. Like, you can log into MySpace with your Facebook credentials. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not kidding.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, that seems sad for some reason.
It is, but like, you know what I mean?
I
Like,
didn't even realize that MySpace still existed.
yeah, oh, absolutely. They're
They've pivoted.
They're more like it's all like music based.
Yeah.
Like they went back to music. And now it's just like you can go there and see like what happened at the VMAs, and it's just like all news related music industry stuff. Anyways, so if they created an ecosystem like Chrome, I like show me I can do everything I can do on Chrome on Edge, and then I'm like, then maybe I'll use it. Like,
well, see, now I don't think people, because Chrome has like 60% of the market share based on the stats we were looking at. And really, I think the only thing that's going to drive people away is Chrome not working in some way, shape, or form.
yeah,
Because, like, if you think about it, that's what drove people away from Internet Explorer, is that it was crappy. It kept crashing. It wasn't keeping up, so none of the websites worked on it. And unless you have that in Chrome, I don't see a ton of people just dropping Chrome for another browser.
Are you guys like the type of people who love to try out new software, and if you're invested in the ecosystem but something else comes along, like you're willing to try that and potentially jump ship if that's, proves better? Or do you guys kind of have like what you like and you kind of just keep it there?
it's for me it's both. I mean, like I don't think I think it depends. You won't find me on the weekends creating a graphic for myself in Sketch, you know what I mean? But like, I'll use it here because I have to, kind of thing. But like, if a new awesome browser that like every single developer was talking about and using and has all these awesome features, then yeah, I might jump ship there.
Yeah.
I think it just depends on what it would be and how it would benefit me. Does it make the job easier? Is it free? Do I have to pay for it? Is it worth the price?
Mm-hmm.
Are these features here? Are they not? Like, will it update soon? Kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd be much more willing to try. I guess it depends sort of on how much investment is needed. So, trying a new browser isn't a big deal, but unless I have a problem with my current browser, they're going to have some really cool stuff in order for me to switch.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it just...
But, like, I'm not going to bother trying, like, a Chromebook or something like that.
Yeah, I think when it comes down to it, it's almost the big players have too much of the market share.
Mm-hmm.
Like, example on Mac, like, you can either edit with videos with their software, which is Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere, or ScreenFlow, which has a lot less features, but it still is a decent video editing software. Mm-hmm. So, like, if you want to come out with a new video editing software, well, you could use iMovie too, but that's garbage. Nobody should use that if they're professional. So, in order to do that, like, you're competing with, like, Adobe, and, like, I don't think anybody has the time, the budget, or just the...
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you would need a team of, like, probably 50 to 100 people to engineer something that could take on Adobe Premiere and have it work and be successful.
Right. And it's also interesting, too, like, you had mentioned Sketch earlier, and I hadn't used Sketch prior to coming here, and since using it, like, I really enjoy it, but it's something that it's a great addition to the other product, like to the other, not the other, because it's totally separate, but it's like a great addition to the Adobe Creative Cloud.
Right.
Not necessarily a replacement.
Yeah, it's not a replacement. Like, it can do all of the things in a different way, but like they all kind of have like a little niche where they excel.
Right.
So, Sketch is really, really good for like laying things out for web. But as far as print, like InDesign for print for me is far superior. And then, you can still do like some vector and some pixel based editing, so like Photoshop and Illustrator.
Yeah.
But like both of those programs have so much more, can go so much more in depth and specialize in each of those that like none of them, it always feels like, oh, this software could replace this, and it just feels like it is always adding on. And it's like, okay, so instead of like taking three apps that I use and putting it into one, it's like, nope, now there's just a fourth, and I have more apps open on my desktop.
Yeah. Yeah. All interesting thoughts. All right, we're gonna wrap this up because we got to go to work now. So bottom line is, use Google Chrome because it makes our job easier. Stop using Internet Explorer or any other Microsoft products. Switch to Mac. I mean, you might as well. This has been another episode of Dev Minutes, extension of Agency Hour podcast. Say goodbye to the people, Sarah.
Happy Monday.
Scott, thanks for jumping in.
Yeah.
Always appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Have a good week, everybody.